What is going on, guys?
We out here in Italy. Italia, we're out in Italy, guys.
We are.
And it's a foreign episode of Worship.
The first ever foreign episode of Worship Production Podcast. We are psyched to be doing this out here. This whole opportunity, this whole trip has been super fun, super cool.
Yeah, we're wiped out. It's currently 6 p.m. at home.
It is,
but
6:45 p.m.
It's actually almost 1 a.m.
And it's almost 1 a.m. here in Italy. We were going to record this on the sky terrace of the hotel we're staying in.
Really
right now,
cool
which
view.
Is stunning.
Uh-huh.
But there were no power outlets and my MacBook was dead.
Yeah.
So here we are
we're in
the bed.
And we're whispering. So if we sound a little more mellow than normal, it's because of that.
It is because of that. But
So
no, it's been really cool. Italy is fantastic. We met some really cool people today, Gio and David and these guys from Stephanie and these guys from the church, ICF Verona. Is that
International Christian Fellowship
of Verona.
It's a group of churches,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not only in Italy but around the world.
Right. But yeah, there's super awesome people. But yeah, the first day we got here, we were at ICF Padova, and then
Northern part of Italy. Top right?
I think I'm not totally actually sure where we are.
We don't know where we're
to be
at.
honest. But then this morning, yesterday morning technically, if it's 1 a.m. Yesterday morning we played for the 25th anniversary for that ICF Padova.
That was a blast.
That was so cool. It was at a Crown Plaza hotel up in Padova. And then we drove about an hour, I think more west, less south, more west, to ICF Verona, which is where we are right now. Yeah. And that was really cool. Picking up some Italian words like grazie, prego.
Yeah, scusi.
Scusi me. I love the accent, and I'm practicing picking up some of the language.
Yeah, Tanner's doing great. He's picking it up slowly.
Thanks, man. Very slowly.
Yeah.
I end up speaking a lot of other languages instead of Italian.
Yeah. We were at dinner once. We were at dinner, what was it, last night?
Yeah.
And the dude brings out your food, and you said...
I was like, gracias. I was like, what am I doing? Like, what?
Gracias.
We are so spent. Like, it has been... like crazy. This whole trip has been insane, which is actually what we're going to be talking about in today's episode of the podcast. We're going to be talking about how God always works. God will move, right? No matter the failures, no matter unplanned things happening, no matter like literally any troubles that you go through. So we've hit a lot of major snags on this trip already, and we're halfway through it, and we just kind of wanted to touch on those snags.
And this, as far as worship and production goes, we've seen it a lot on this trip. Yeah,
it's snags all around the board. So we just kind of wanted to share with you kind of what we've run into on our trip so far while we explain what we've done. And then kind of go over how God has still not managed to move, but just like how we've seen not only his faithfulness through some of these issues and what's come from them, but like just how he can use whatever. Yeah. Like if our hearts are in the right place.
Right.
So.
And it was from the rip. I mean,
it was
before we even got our mindsets in like, okay, we're in Italy and we're about to play worship. Things were happening.
Right. The first thing that happened was I was sitting at work on Wednesday because we were leaving Thursday morning, and I got the text that our flight was canceled to Paris.
Right.
So there's some sort of strike in Paris, and it canceled. I don't know for sure exactly what happened, but nonetheless, flight to Paris was canceled. So we had to go, instead of Detroit to Paris to Venice.
Right.
We had to do Detroit to Amsterdam to Rome, and then a 7-hour drive from Rome to Padova.
Granted, most of our group is older, and so we stopped for the bathroom.
We did, yeah.
Like several times.
It probably could have been a quicker drive, but
it wasn't.
It's all right. And honestly, I'm perfectly fine. Like, this country is stunning.
Yeah, to drive through like from bottom to top, like just to see everything.
It
like
was so cool.
From the highway, at least.
Cool.
It was just really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it was a cool experience. And I feel like that's the turnaround from that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think the theme that we found and what we're going to discuss is just like there are snags, but there's also like the blessing that comes from those snags.
Every time that there's a problem, something else happens, and we're like, man, we wouldn't have gotten to like experience this if it went according to plan.
Right.
Like, yeah, maybe it's a little more stressful, but like you never know what God has in plan for you. Like at first glance, it's like, oh man, this stinks. But like when you look back, it's like, even when you're in the moment, like we were in the moment, because this has happened, let me tell you, a lot on this trip. Like, and it's like, the more it happens, it's like, wait a second, guys, like God's in control here. Like what's happening for a reason. But so yeah, the first thing that happened was all these flight delays, cancellations. Even the day of when traveling, everything was delayed. Not a single flight was on time. But the cool thing that we saw out of that was we saw Pastor Tom and Brooke Harshberger in the Amsterdam airport.
Yeah. These are youth pastors from CLA.
Yes.
Like we grew up with them being our leaders.
Yeah, they were my youth pastors when I went through middle school. And, you know, led with them and learned from them. And like, they are just some of my favorite people. And they're the only two people that I know that live in Europe.
Yeah, they're missionaries to Northern Ireland.
Yes.
They went, 5-6 years ago? And they've been just in Northern Ireland. Granted, we saw them in the Amsterdam airport.
Amsterdam airport. So they are the only two people I know that are in Europe. And because our flight was not only transferred to Amsterdam, but then the flight to Amsterdam was delayed 45 minutes. They had no idea CLA was even sending a missions trip to Italy.
Right.
They had no idea.
Right.
Like we don't really communicate with them much anymore. Like, love them and everything, but like there's not a lot of communication. We just like they're still really close because they were family. So they had absolutely no idea. We had no idea that they were traveling. And so we get there 45 minutes late. We're running to get the passport control, and we get in line, and I hear, "Oh my gosh!" And I look up. And it was Brooke Harshberger with just this face of pure shock looking at me.
Like, she's like, odds?
Tanner? I'm like, no way. Like, literally, probably 10 or 15 people behind them in line.
Right. Like, yeah, like, we that flight was on delay.
Yeah.
And the flight itself, since we were on it, was because we couldn't go to Paris.
Right.
So, like, the odds of everything, like, you just see God's hand in that because
100%.
There's no coincidence in that.
Absolutely not.
You know? Like, you can't explain
like, there's a reason. There's a reason we saw them. Like, we may not know what that is besides maybe just the joy of, like, having a really, like, we traveled for 32 hours without sleeping.
Right.
Like, that's a long trip. The joy of seeing people that you love and haven't seen. Like, I haven't seen Tom and Brooke in... I saw them once a little over a year ago at Jared's wedding. Yeah. Before that, I think I saw them once. So I've seen them like twice in the last like 5 or 6 years. Yeah. Like, and just the joy of reunion with them was so cool. And it was so rushed, but I feel like I don't know. It was really unique. Yeah. Like, time. But like, I'm just so grateful for, like, it's just like it may not seem as crazy to you guys, but like the chances of that happening are probably like zero. Like, of literally everybody in the world, in all of Europe, somehow we happen to be in the same place at the same time. The only two people I know in Europe.
Day, like, it's just
same day, same time, same place. They had to have been going to the same gate as us in order for us to see them, because there's different passport control at each of those letter gates. Yeah. So like they had to have been going to a similar gate, because they were going. Where were they going?
What was it? Something in Germany.
Was it Germany?
Yeah, it was something in Germany.
Stockholm.
Stockholm. Yeah.
I don't know if that's in Germany or not.
It's up in there.
It's somewhere in Europe. But like, just the things.
Just crazy.
Just unbelievable.
It's amazing how, like, just, the odds of that alone are just mind-blowing.
Yeah, but it was great to see them. If you guys are listening, we love you guys.
We love you a lot.
We got to come to Ireland soon and do a trip with you guys. But
maybe do a worship night there.
Yes, I would love that.
But yeah, we are killing it. I mean, this trip has just been, so that's just getting here. But now, like, let's step into
yeah,
all of what we're supposed to be doing, the missions work that we're doing, playing music and stuff. I just want, like, Tanner, we should share what kind of setup we have.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what are we running with so that, like, we understand, okay, what are the hiccups we hit? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, so we are running, the setup we have is an X32 rack. I'm controlling it via my iPad and a network switch. And guitars are direct, bass is direct, HX stomps, amp modelers, electric kit, keyboard, wired mics. So we throw that X32 rack on stage. Everybody is carrying their own stuff. My bag has all of the cables in it and the X32. And everybody else is carrying their own stuff to get to the X32. And then I have the iPad, and I mix off the iPad. I run into whatever console is at the venue we're playing at. I just take a left and right channel, and then we run stereo mix out. So pretty basic, but it's kind of difficult.
Really good for traveling.
It is, yeah. It works really well, and the setup and teardown so far, like on this trip, I'll tell you what, has been fantastic. Like you guys, so everybody, when we set up, I put the X32 rack down. I work on running the lines to the subs, I work on running lines to the mains, running lines to monitors, and running lines to vocals. All the instruments take care of their own in-ears, and they take care of their own line-in lines. So they worry about all their cable. And then when they remember their ins, they remember their outs. We plug into the same ports every time, bring up the same scene. It's like we dialed this in before we left, and honestly, things have gone very smoothly when we have the time to set up and the actual space to set up.
Yeah, so that was the first thing. The first night that we were coming in, we didn't even get to do the first event we had planned.
Right.
Because it was supposed to be a worship night on that Friday when we showed up, pretty much just show up and go.
Yep.
But the 7-hour drive from Rome
7-hour drive
had a hand in us not being able to do that.
You know what else had a hand in us not being able to doing that?
What's that?
Was that English? I feel like I just stuttered over all of those words.
We get the point.
How many bags did we carry as a team? Did we have 11 suitcases or something?
We
total?
we had a lot. I mean, one for each person and two extra.
One of them didn't show up. Do you know which one that one was? It was my suitcase with all of my clothes and all of the XLR cables.
So we had
to wait for an hour at the airport, and then at that point in time we were hosed. We
were hopeful.
We were
at first that we would be able to make the event.
Yeah.
But because of the delay from the bag, that's when we just okay, we're not making the event. We might have to skip dinner.
Yeah.
Kind of vibes.
Yep.
And it was just a long drive, and we kind of just missed that event. So
yeah, it was definitely a bummer.
But we did get to meet with the missionary after he came back from the event, and we grabbed dinner with him, and that was a special moment.
It was.
And he had so much understanding, hey, you've been traveling 30 hours. It's out of your hands, you know. And yeah, the bag story is crazy too once we get to it. But we waited in line just to put our name in the system, put Tanner's name in the system. Hey, this bag's missing. We didn't see it on the belt. The dude's yeah, I can tell you 100% that's not here.
He's no, it's definitely in Amsterdam. And I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah. So it was just. Yeah, we waited on that for a little bit, and then it finally came through. But that's a story.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to tell that one now?
Yeah, we could tell it now. So the bag. No, we'll get to that. We'll go sequential through our trips.
Okay. All right.
I like that idea. But yeah, so we didn't have any of the XLR cable. So here comes Saturday morning. Would be our first event, I guess, right? Which was just more of a teaching service at ICF Padova. So we played a worship set in the morning, basically for our practice for the Sunday morning, which is the big 25th anniversary celebration, which is the main event of what we're here for. Like, that was the big ticket for why this trip happened, was this 25th anniversary. We added in all these other worship nights and teaching stuff just because we wanted to serve the ICF community here in Italy.
Yeah.
So the first event was a teaching, and with no XLR cables, we had to use like half of their system and half of our system. So I had control of some of our stuff through the X32 with what we had, and then but all the mics were through their console, and then I had to patch both consoles together. There was a buzz. There's no grounding properly in the building.
Yeah.
It was definitely like and like I'd love for like you to speak on the worship side, and I could speak on the production side.
Yeah.
For all these different things, because I know they're different. But like from a production side, like it was stressful, and like wasn't totally pleased with how it sounded. I don't know if there's anything I really could have done because the buzz was a ground issue. But like the room was very small, speakers were small, the ground issue didn't help. But like it was hard to be comfortable on a system when it's half and half like that. Like if it was just all of our X32, like
that does make it tough.
Yeah. So like that was a little rough. And again, like you'll hear the common theme. We didn't have any time to actually practice before. There was no line check. It was just plug everything in. All right, we have sound, go, because we like pushed the time. Like we are at the start time for the service. We need to start.
Right.
So made things difficult, but like, yeah, was there any?
Yeah, well, that alone was like, I thought we were getting a sound check. Like I thought we were winding up to do the sound check. I didn't realize that was the service. You know, we started playing the song, and I was like, wait, we're doing it. Like, there's people in the chairs. Because it was a small event. It was like 25 people. Yeah. So I thought people were filing in while we were doing a sound check. We're halfway through the song. I'm like, no, we're going through this.
We're going through this thing.
This is legit. And, you know, I play like I practice. I practice like I play. So, like, you know, musically I didn't hold out or anything.
Yeah.
I will say, though, like, I felt completely on edge the entire time. I felt really not good about that set because it was an electric kit, which, where my drummer's at, like,
yeah, come on.
There's just a real distaste for electric kits because there's no room for dynamics. Like, there's no ability to make it, like, and this kit specifically was, like, it was a Roland, like TD like 3. It was like old, where it was like the cymbal pads were like an eighth of the cymbal, like those type, like it looked like a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
And it was just like horrible. The tone on the drums were really bad. The sound in my ears, like we didn't really get time to make an in-ears mix, and so I just had that blaring in my ears, and at no fault of Tanner's, I mean, we didn't have the time to set up.
Yeah. The in-ears mixes have gave us issues at every event.
Yeah. But
and I do praise the team for just rolling with it and just
we just made it work, but
grinding it out.
It felt horrible on our ends so that it could sound somewhat decent in the house, you know? And yeah, it was just on my side of things in every event except for the last one that we'll get to. Anytime I was on an electric kit, it just felt really bad.
Yeah.
It just felt horrible. But it's ultimately not anything in my hands. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I played like I would if I was on an acoustic kit, and I just trusted that it sounded okay in the house.
Yeah.
You know?
And at the same time, like, it's like ultimately, like, we're worshiping.
Yeah. And it was hard to engage. I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
It was really hard to engage because your mind is on so many things. But that's that for on the worship side of things, for worship leaders out there, anyone who's an accompanying instrument, if you can learn to handle those high stress moments and just roll with it and still be able to praise and worship and like give God your all in the midst of that, like I think that's fully submitting your gift to him.
100%.
Like it's not anything that you're doing,
That's
but it's
good.
fully just using it
That's good.
to glorify him.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a shift in that this morning.
Yeah.
This is Sunday. We're talking. It was. Do we wait? I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. Let's end that. So what we saw from last night. I think so. Like we didn't have the cables. Stuff was late. We were delayed. It was already after we missed the first event. But like, we were able to spend a couple hours with them talking about like some practical things. Like it was a teaching seminar. Is essentially what it was. But like we got to meet some cool people that we ended up hanging out with again tonight. Like and create community and relationship there. To be even further deepened today, which was really cool. And then we got to just kind of, we set up their computer with a new Pro Presenter.
Right.
We're able to do a lot and help the church, even though, we didn't have adequate time to really set up. We didn't have adequate wire. We didn't have any of this stuff that we were supposed to have for this event. But like, God still gave us these opportunities to, teach them and hopefully grow them and, maybe stir another fire in their hearts and get them going for, what they do weekly at this church, right? Because we're not here weekly. But like, again, just like he still open doors for us to do what we're supposed to be here for. Like we're out here on mission. Like
100%.
Like we're out here to.
Yeah. And I love that mindset. Just like there is no way that we can know the impact we had. Yeah. Because to us, it was kind of, we were on edge. We were on the edge of our seat. For them, it's an international worship team coming to visit. Yep. And playing music. And they never have a drummer. They never have, they always use half the size of the band we'd use. Yep. So that alone is special,
and we're on stage with 8 people. They're used to like 2 or 3. Right.
So it's just like that alone makes it like, oh, this is something different. And in those moments, often, like whenever things are different, people experience different.
Yes.
And they experience more because of that. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. That translates really well into the next day too. But we did, in between that service and the one in the morning, we had a little conversation that went into the late night. Like we were settling down for bed, you, me, and Hunter, our friend is here, and we were just talking about different theological things, stuff like that, and it went late into the night, 2:30, 3.
2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, until we finally turned in. Well, one of the conversations that we had in that night was like everything that happens, like we're going to and we used it as an example. Yeah, we're going to wake up tomorrow with a certain amount of like tiredness.
Yeah, because we were staying up this late.
Yeah, and we said like God's will is for us to be that amount of tired, so this amount of, like this situation can happen. You know what I mean? Like
in a certain way for us to experience, or the audience, like something, for some reason we had.
Yeah. So like just that theory in general of like God's willing things to happen in the way that they do, so that experiences can be had that can only happen with that.
With those things happening. Yep.
So we slept in.
Yeah. Fast forward. So sound check started at 9. Breakfast, we wanted to be down there at 8. Fast forward to 9:15 a.m. when our bass player John knocks on our door. Hunter's phone had died, and my alarms did not go off.
Yeah.
And we were asleep. So not only were we in this like tiredness, but we were dazed and confused. We had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
We had no preparation this morning, no shower. I mean, I ran my head under the sink for a little bit, but like it was like get up and in 6 minutes, like get your butt out the door and down to that room.
Not only get ready, but like we're leaving the hotel, pack your stuff.
So pack your whole hotel room and get down as fast as you can so we can start.
Yeah.
Like,
we did it under 10 minutes, got down to the room, and then we spent the entire practice time, what would have been the pre-setup before the practice, we used during the practice time.
Yep.
So getting ready, getting the sound
Things.
checks,
Yep.
figuring out the things that didn't work.
Yep.
There's
Which
always
were.
hiccups. There's always
The
hiccups.
ears, for some reason, decided to go super weird that morning. Now, I will preface all this with we did have 2 hours Saturday night to set up everything on that stage.
Yeah.
So we had everything wired, we had everything ran and everything, but we only did quick line checks for like gain structure.
Right.
We didn't really do too much other than that. So it was like a fly by the seat of your pants.
Right.
So, but anyway, continue.
Yeah, just flying by the seat of your pants. And that's been the theme of this trip, really, is just like we don't give ourselves enough time to prep. And because of that, we feel it during the worship, the effects of that in some ways. But, man, Sunday morning, once we finally got into the set, and it was a long set. I mean, they did 3 songs in the start. They did offertory, like a special song, with one of the members of the church. 3 more songs for the slow worship, and messages, and then like a finale song.
And then a closing song. Yeah.
So there's like a lot of music that we played.
8 songs.
Yeah, with no warm-up.
Yep.
No sound check. Like,
no
we did a line check, but I don't think we really did a sound check.
We did not. No, I was EQing and doing all that stuff during.
Yeah. We played one chorus of one song just to get levels, I think, but like the EQing was happening during the set.
Yeah, it was. I definitely felt uncomfortable, and I hate like waking up like that late, and you just don't have any time to get ready. You just have to like switch into that mindset. You just gotta go. Like there was no option. Like I got down there as fast as I could. We got stuff going, and then like this is a big event. Like we have, like there are pastors here from all over. Like there's pastors there from the U.S. There's pastors there from the AG that are there. Like this was a big event. This was the 25th anniversary of this church over here in Italy.
Yeah. So it's like an honor that we're there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Like I feel very honored to like be there in the first place doing this for them. And like it just like, but like I just had to put myself in this mindset of, all right, like let's just do it. Like this is not an ideal scenario. We didn't have breakfast. We did not shower. Like I didn't feel awake. I didn't feel ready. And now I have to communicate with a tech team of people who speak Italian and need to communicate with them. Pastor has already shared with me that he's like, man, these guys, some of them are a little hard to work with. Like they think they won't listen to instructions. They think they know what they're doing. So I'm like trying to communicate with these guys and trying to explain not only that, but the night before I set up their computer. So I'm like trying to teach them how to work their new computer, make sure everything's right. And they're asking me questions. Pastor's asking me questions. The MC is asking me questions about what mic. I'm like,
the band's asking you to change levels.
The band just keeps asking me like, hey, my in-ears don't work. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like my head is just spinning all morning. But like, dude, that service was powerful.
It was. And I was on an electric kit for this service.
He was.
And so it felt horrible for me. Actually, it was really encouraging when I went off and you said to me, like, it sounded good in the house. That's like all I needed to hear. Because to me, it was like jumbled. Like, it was clear that the enemy was attacking this service. I'm not even kidding. Like, I don't want to sound like anything more, but it was clear. Because first song, my first tom, the high tom, falls off of the kit onto the floor. So I'm playing and putting this drum kit back together. Yeah. Then I hit the snare. Every time I hit the snare, it gets lower by like half a centimeter. Like it just goes down, 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 down. So I have to keep pulling it up and adjusting it while I'm playing. And then like my cymbals were really like, I think the sound changed on them, like the effects or something within the brain of the console, like the drum kit itself, it changed the tones. And so like I had these really sharp sounding cymbals in my ear, and like it kind of, once that happened, it kind of overpowered like some of what in-ears I did have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I just was feeling bad. But it's not like, to know that in the house it was fine. It's just like, wow, the enemy was really getting at that, you know?
Yeah, because the enemy wants to get at your heart. Because if you're on stage and you're not truly worshiping, like there's very good, like, that will have an effect, even
Yeah.
though you may not even show it, but like there's feeling when all of the members of a worship team are like truly like surrendering. Like,
Uh-huh.
dude, you feel it in the room.
Yeah.
Like,
But if they're
you can.
flustered and
Yep.
trying to work through
And the fact that, like, yeah, the enemy's going to do all of this, and we've felt that attack this entire trip from everything.
Mhm.
But I can tell you, like, every single member of this team, like, we've just like ignored it, like,
Yeah.
completely. We're just like, dude, like, try it.
Mhm.
Try us.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
give us your best shot. Like, we're just going to worship the Lord
Mhm.
and like do what we are called to do, use our gifts, and just like, come on, like, we're on fire. Like,
Yeah.
let's do this thing.
Yeah. And it's not like anything that we're doing. It's just fully
No,
like
it's just
God's moving in the midst of
he's
it.
yeah, and it's so cool to see. But like, yeah, that was a rough service because it sounded so bad for you guys. I know that the in-ear situation was not the best situation, and I
Mhm.
know like you guys either couldn't hear anything or it sounded like crap, but it sounded fantastic. It was booming out in the house. Like, we were running loud. I actually meant to grab a bless you.
Thank you.
I meant to grab a DVA reading, but I didn't get to it.
Mm.
But like, we were cooking, and it sounded great. Vocals were killing it.
Mhm.
But it was nice. This was our own system, so this was all just the X32, all of our own stuff.
Right.
Oh wait, I forgot to tell them we got the bag.
Oh, yeah.
That's right, guys. My bag was in our hotel room. They did get it right away. Flew it
Yeah.
to Venice, shipped it to our hotel room. Thank you to KLM. Great service. Their website did not update it though, so it made me very nervous.
Yeah, we were
and
like,
we didn't
oh,
even
it's
know
in
to
Rome.
check.
What is it doing
Yeah,
in
it
Rome?
kept saying it was in Rome, but like, the service was great. The updating on the website was not.
Yeah.
But no, we walk in. It was Saturday night, and the bag was in our room. So we
Yeah.
did have all the XLRs we needed for Sunday morning.
Mhm.
We had everything. It was great. But yeah, like, the enemy was definitely attacking, but like, it was a really cool service to celebrate. There were some things that has happened to that church within the last like 5 or 6 years that have been really hard for them, and to
Yeah.
have this celebration was just like, you could tell like the Holy Spirit was in that room.
100%.
Like, just everybody, like, there were people in the back dancing, and like,
Yeah.
it was a really cool experience. But like, dude, that was all God.
It was
like,
all God.
100% all God.
Like I just it's just so black and white to be behind the scenes on the stage, like, in the ears, just hearing that mix and knowing how flustered
Mm-hmm.
like we could have been, how flustered we were, and like what was actually happening. It's just a shift of perspective. Like it's an opening of an eye to perspective, really. Just like, wow, it's nothing that I can do in my own power. Like, I was feeling horrible about this,
Right.
but everyone else was having a time of worship. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
God's going to use what we give him if we give it to him with an open and surrendered heart.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to take that. He's like, all right, you're giving it your best. Like, the Holy Spirit will, like, God will move.
Yeah.
Like, it's not up to us. There's nothing. We are silly if we think that anything we do is going to impact the move of God.
Yeah.
Like, God will move.
But it's hard in worship to think about
Absolutely.
it, because there's like,
yes.
okay, I have to use the skills I have to glorify God. Like, what I'm doing right now, I have to do it well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so you can get caught in the details of that, and it can
It's
change
definitely a fine
into
line,
an
yeah.
idea of it's on me to make
Mhm.
this good. But ultimately, it's not. You
It's
know what I
not.
mean? Like, and
You got to
so,
give it your best shot. You got to try.
yeah.
Like, if you go up to, I think Pastor Christian mentioned this when we did the teaching. Like, if you don't try, then yeah, but if you're trying, like, and like, you're like really like giving it what you have, like, God recognizes that.
Yeah.
So,
And yeah, it just goes from that. You know, you just give with an open heart, and God will bless it, whether you feel it or
Mhm.
not.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So Yeah, that was this morning, and
Yeah.
then this evening we we drove to another church in Verona,
Mhm.
and we did a little worship night
Yeah.
with an acoustic kit. We
Yes.
used the church's setup. It also was an X32, right?
It was. It was an X32 compact.
Yeah, compact, and we used all of their lines. They have an in-ears setup, and I used that. I don't know if the rest of the team was on monitors.
They had in-ears, but something was messed up.
Uh,
So first, I guess I'll speak from a tech aspect, and then you can talk from
okay.
more of a worship aspect. So we walked around Verona for a little bit before we went to the church,
Mm-hmm.
and we decided to get to the church an hour before start time because we were planning on using their own stuff. Which I, in the time, I didn't think it was a terrible idea, but in hindsight, I would have done it differently.
Yeah. It was a gamble. For
It was
sure.
definitely a gamble. So we decided by looking at the pictures, I was like, okay, they have everything we need. Let's just use what they have. So that's exactly what we did. We show up, and I just copied over a scene on the X32,
Yeah.
saved it with our name. That way I could change like EQ and levels and all that stuff. But I changed no physical patching. I just added 2 lines for electrics. I had electrics on direct, drums and keys. We just used what they had.
Right.
Bass, we used what they had. Vocals, we used what they had. Yeah, we switched out a couple of the vocal mics. I put a V7. I wanted the V7 to be on Leah because it really complements her voice well.
Right.
PK ended up using that. I wasn't super happy with how that sounded, but we had some 58s that we brought as well. It did sound good. But we finally get everything plugged in, and we've probably got 40 minutes till service or something.
Mm-hmm.
We do some line checks. I get everything sounding good. I'm like, all right. I'm like, yeah, this is good. And but the master volume on the X32 compact was at -60 dB, and it was loud. And I'm like, oh no, gain structure is not set up right on this console. And not only do I not have time to fix it, because I think I was also fighting DSP in that room. I think there was an EQ on the DSP, and I think I was fighting that because frequencies were responding a little differently than I think they should have. But also I think the gain was cranked on the amp. So it was not a fixable issue in the time we gave ourselves. Borderline, probably not a fixable. The fix to that issue was just using our setup and just running 2 lines, which is honestly probably what we should have done in hindsight. But I don't think we gave enough time to do that.
Yeah.
So.
But ultimately, it wasn't bad. It's just it could have been better. I don't know on your end.
So no, it was.
But
pretty bad.
You were able to turn it around to make it a good time.
I did. It took a lot of work. The biggest issue was something was wrong with the console. I don't know what it was because I checked everything I knew to check, but I muted the mains and the monitors and even pulled them down to pull the faders down and muted them, and they wouldn't turn off. I had control, sense on fader. I could control what the levels were, but I couldn't bring the master volume down. I checked pre-fade, post-fade. I checked everything. It did not work. So, Pastor Christian was on stage. He kept telling me, he's like, Tanner, turn these monitors off because, they're too loud. We need to hear. And I'm like, PK, they are. They are muted and turned down. So something was wrong with the board. That made it very frustrating. So we just had the conversation. We're like, hey, we just got to go with it. We pushed ourselves too close. We have to start the service. Stuff isn't ready. We didn't have any run through.
Right.
Gain structure was not set up right. Stuff was feeding back. I was fighting everything. They had no EQ on anything to start out with. So I'm redoing everything. And it was difficult. So most of what you heard, lots of what you heard in the house was the monitors because they were so loud.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get the PA loud enough. And the PA is just 2 probably 8-inch speakers on the sides.
Right.
So it was rough. It was rough. And it took probably 2 or 3 songs before I really started feeling good about it. But I mean, there was so much that happened during that service. I'm just trying to, we could spend probably the next 45 minutes talking about everything that happened in that service from.
Maybe that could be something.
Another episode, just the
Yeah.
service. But it's from in-ears not working to band not being able to hear drums to me texting Pastor Christian during the service of stuff that's happening on stage that I'm not aware of, and trying to fix it on my end.
Right.
And then me trying to text Quinn when now in hindsight I had to talk back to Quinn. I don't know why I didn't use it. I'm like texting him. I'm like, hey Quinn, keep time with your hi-hat because I have a mic on the hi-hat.
But yeah, I don't know. Like you did say hindsight like 3 or 4 times now, and I just like it just struck me like this could be a lesson for everyone, on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like in hindsight, yeah, we could have done that, but now we know. You know what I mean? We've experienced what goes wrong if you don't.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But like at the same time, like all of what happened for a reason.
Right.
Like all the issues we encountered today, I was able to explain how to solve them to a 13-year-old boy named Stefano, who was in the sound booth running Pro Presenter, and he does this stuff at ICF Verona.
Right.
So like he is helping out with their tech. He's also learning drums. So like I was able to explain. I was like, hey, hear that's sibilance. So like that's what's feeding back. And I'm like, hey, here's some tricks you can do to like get these out. He's like, oh, we have that every Sunday. And I'm like, so like, yeah, there were problems, but look, God gave me this opportunity to now solve the problem and explain why I'm solving it to the church.
So now that ministry's that much better.
Yeah, and it's something that wouldn't have happened if we had our own setup.
Right.
Like, so like, yes, there were problems and it was not great. But first, it creates opportunities. We don't know. You never know what the opportunities are.
Mm-hmm.
And second, like, yeah, it was rough, but it probably sounded better than it ever has in that room before.
Yeah.
Just because of skilled hands all around the board, like getting the sound, playing the instruments. Like, I was able to get it actually sounding really good in that room. I was very impressed, very happy. But like you look at the console and the master volume is almost at 0 and all the individual faders are maxed. Like it was wacky.
That is weird.
But like they worshipped.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit was in that room.
That's
like,
great.
So like I don't know if you felt it, but like
they came up to the altar and there was just a powerful time of worship. I mean, worship leaders, Leah, came off of stage to pray over people. Yeah. Like in the middle of service. Yeah. The bassist John took the microphone from Pastor Christian and just shared a word that was like for that moment.
Yeah.
Like
it was for somebody in that room. Like it was.
Yeah. And it's just like powerful things were happening and it wasn't anything by our own hand. No. And you look at the chaos that Tanner was going through. This night service, for as far as worship goes, like the team, like the only thing that we struggled with was tempo. Yeah. Like communicating tempo, and we cut. So we had a whole list of songs, and we cut things. We cut like 3 or 4 songs out of the list. Yeah. And so we kind of just rolled into songs based on what Pastor Christian sung in that moment. Yeah. And so those things without communication of like an MD like we normally have. Right. That made it a little strange. But ultimately it was a good night as far as like the musical side of things go. Yeah. It was like it sounded great. Yeah, it went great. The response was great. And I think we did our job, which is to disappear. Yeah. You know, like absolutely. We ushered the spirit. Now it helps that there were no lights on stage. Right. Did you notice that? I didn't. So their worship setting for lighting had no face light. That's so you guys were literally dark. I couldn't see you guys. Well, either way, the spirit was ushered and people's hearts were moved and it went really well. And it was just a great night. It felt great. Tonight was a really, really good night. And there's like, you know that feeling when you're like super tired, but like you're just at the end of your wits. So like everything is just like those emotions are heightened. Like I feel like there's a reason why everything was delayed and we got in late. There was a reason why we woke up late. There was a reason why we didn't give ourselves enough time. And we like in every situation, there seemed to be a lot of chaos. But isn't there a song? You find joy in chaos. I don't know that one. Peace, it makes no sense. Isn't it? I thank God. No. You still find joy in chaos. That's Firm Foundation. Oh, Firm Foundation. Like that lyric right there is what
we have experienced on this trip. Like
Uh-huh.
through the chaos, we have been beaten down just to experience this in a deeper way,
Right.
to be able to truly worship and like just surrender.
Yeah.
Like it may seem at the front like, man, this stinks. Like, dude, it's all happening for a reason.
It is.
Like God's orchestrating every step we take on this trip,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so cool to see.
Yeah. And like just afterwards we went to dinner with some of the people here in the church and interacting with them.
Yeah.
It's clear that, you know, their hearts are just so good. They're great people. And
Tonight was just a blast.
it was
like
just
being
a
able to
blast.
hang out with them and just talk to them, and
Yeah.
it was so cool.
And that's where the real ministry happens.
Absolutely.
It's just
in the community.
yeah.
Yep.
Just sharing with them and being in that time with them. So it was just it's been a great trip all around. Our work is done per se. But we do have a lot more to our trip. We're going to be sightseeing and going out. Hopefully, I think we could do something out there. I don't know. Whether it's just taking the acoustic,
We don't have an acoustic.
whether it's just taking the guitars. Well, I guess we don't have amps. I would love to like go out and do something like as a team.
Totally could.
But
yeah. And like I've been praying for like opportunities to just minister to people on the streets. Like that's not
Yeah.
even like I really hope we have opportunities the next couple of days to just talk to people.
Yeah.
Like not orchestrated stuff, like just like
yeah.
we're a bunch of Americans.
Yeah.
We're obvious that we're a little out of
We've
place.
been a spectacle
So, like
quite a few times. We have
Yes.
a leader who loves taking pictures.
He does.
And every time we take a picture, like a crowd gathers
crowd
to
of-
watch
a crowd
us.
of Italians comes up and watches us take group pictures. It is very
It's
amusing.
been embarrassing.
And
to say the
it's
least.
even more amusing when we all wear the same shirt.
Yeah. Oh, the first
It's
day.
like, hey guys, we're tourists.
the same
Over here, we're
shirt
tourists.
that says Italy in Italian.
It says Italian on it. It's
It
very
was
funny. We
just-
love it.
Oh man.
But yeah,
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good, but
it has been so good. The fruit from this trip so far
Yeah.
has been really good. But
so
he
Yeah.
finds the joy in the chaos,
it is
peace that makes no sense.
nice. So yeah, I think we should take some time to break down that last set
Yeah.
production wise,
Oh, for
just
sure.
like what all could have gone, and even the first one.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the grounding and stuff like that.
Also, in that last set, guys, their console was in Italian. I didn't know what I was doing. I had to literally do stuff from memory. It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Just like move a fader. Okay, that moves that.
Yep. It was. Try to use the pictures where I could, but if the pictures didn't make sense, I'd ask Stefano, and then he'd help me out. Also, shout out Stefano if you watch this, which I hope you do. Well, listen to it. Love you, bro.
Yeah.
That was such a fun time.
Stefano's great. He
He-
was a great kid.
He was a great kid. He had
Yeah.
no lack of energy.
No. Which is par for the course with us.
Yeah, for real.
So, but I am hitting that end here. I'm getting tired, guys.
Yeah,
It's like
I am.
1:30.
It is. It's 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So
Wow. It is something that we should discuss more. Talking
Yeah.
about those events and just running through.
tech stuff.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
grounding situation. I think that's
Mhm.
a good one.
Yeah.
Quickly, we don't even have to hit on it then. Cable management.
Yep.
I've noticed there is a huge lack of that in Italy.
Yes.
It's just like,
Yep.
and I can't speak universally for
Right.
Italy.
I would like to see like a big church. I don't know if they have like. I'll call it a mega church.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if they have like large churches.
I'm not
in
sure.
Italy. I haven't.
I know that's a
Like-
very
like not-
Catholic country,
yes,
right?
like
so it's probably like,
Yeah, I guess like big non-denominational or AG.
Yeah.
Like more modern church.
sure there has to be one. It's a big
I'm sure
country.
that's a big couple. So I wonder if in that scenario you would see like something that has like a paid tech director
Right,
and
right.
stuff like that.
Yeah. I know they use, I've seen a lot of LED walls and stuff like that for,
Yeah.
like advertisements and stuff. So
Mhm.
they're not behind on the times as far as production goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's, yeah, I would like to dive in and see.
Absolutely. I love that idea.
Just foreign stuff. So, all right, y'all.
Yeah. We're going to wrap this up, and Quinn and I are going to go to bed.
Yes.
Because we need to be up some point in time tomorrow morning. We're going to go probably eat breakfast on that sky terrace.
Yeah.
Soak it in a little bit.
Just
and
get our
then
plates and go.
We're going somewhere at 9 a.m. So we've got 7 hours.
More to follow. We might record another one. We might not. We're kind of feeling it by.
Yeah. We'll go day by day. Might record one in the airport or something.
But
we were going to record one on the plane, but we figured people would get upset.
Right. It was really close. We almost did it.
Yeah.
There's no power there either. Just realized.
Yeah, there is.
There is?
Yeah. On all the planes. I charge my phone on all the planes.
But like an outlet?
Yeah. There's an outlet and 2 USBs on each seat.
Huh. So we could.
Yeah.
Interesting.
People would get upset. 100%.
We could sit by the bathrooms.
It's true. Podcast from the sky.
From the sky.
That'd be awesome.
That would be cool.
That would be.
But yeah, sorry guys, we're so scatterbrained. It's late. But I think this has been a good trip. We got to share what we've experienced and stuff like that.
And I think that's the biggest lesson, at least that I'm taking away from this trip so far, is like that God will move. Like if you give him your all, like he'll use you. And it's been so evident and clear to see.
Yeah.
Just the fact that he's in control.
That's the unmentioned theme of this episode, is just like something happens with, a flake or what do we call it? Like a mess up.
Yeah, hiccup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a hiccup happens. And then God turns it around to be something better.
God turn it around.
God turn it around. God turn it around. Yeah. But that just like we've been seeing that very, very much so. Yeah. Like we do things in our own power. It goes one way. God uses it in another way. Yeah. So.
But anyway, guys, we love you. And thank you for tuning in week after week. We appreciate the views. And it keeps us going. If there was nobody watching, we'd probably still do it.
Yeah. A little bit at least.
Yeah. But for real, guys, if you have any questions, anything you want answered, anything you want us to talk about, literally anything, DM us on our Instagram at Worship Production Podcast. We want to hear from you guys.
Please
we want to please you guys. So
we want to do those question and answer episodes so badly.
Yo, Stefano, send us some questions that you want to know. Let's do a whole episode dedicated to Stefano. Answer his questions.
I like it.
Please send us your questions. But anyway, guys, we will catch you in the next one.
Boop.
Peace out from Italy.
We'll see you.